Sometimes emotionally immature people read about emotional immaturity and end up feeling very regretful about their past behavior. What that means to me is that they have started to self-reflect at this later stage of their life. They're looking back, they're being curious about their motives, they're having a little more interest in psychological matters, and they're trying to maybe go back and fix some things in their relationships, but they're self-reflecting. Now, when we self-reflect, which is the primary way we have of changing psychologically, is to look at ourselves with objectivity and compassion. When we go back and we look at ourselves, that can be a painful process. So the question often comes up, why do we sort of blame the emotionally immature parent for the adult child's problems, and why do we sort of make those parents feel bad about being how they were? And the answer to that is that we are trying in these books to show compassion and support to the adult children of emotionally immature parents. They are really the target audience. They are the ones to whom I'm speaking. And I'm trying to give them a one-on-one experience of being understood and seeing things from their point of view. Because that's one of the things that they may have missed a lot in childhood, is an adult or another person, kind of a witness, who is willing just to hear their side of the story and is willing to try to understand what that's been like for them. So in any writing about emotionally immature parents, that is being directed at that adult child who needs to have their point of view substantiated and supported by someone who is sympathetic and empathic to their situation growing up with an emotionally immature parent. That comes first. But I think if you think about it, there has been also an effort to understand that people are not emotionally immature because they're bad people, because they're selfish people. They're that way because something has happened in their own development that has made it very hard for them to develop compassion and empathy and concern for other people's psychological experiences, their internal subjective experiences. They may have been taught that the important things are physical health, material success, physical security, having a roof over your head. And these parents have felt like they have done everything they were supposed to do as parents, right? A generation or two before, those would have met all the criteria for being a good parent. Emotionally immature parents may have been doing the very best that they could. They may have tried and succeeded at meeting the needs of their children as they understood them at the time, with full intention of raising happy, good children. But they may not have realized, due to their own upbringing, due to their own deprivations emotionally, they may not realize how important some of these psychological and emotional factors are to their child's sense of good self-esteem and confidence. We want to make sure that emotionally immature people understand that what they have done or not done wasn't a malicious act. It wasn't an intentional oversight. They probably did the very best that they could. But that's not what we need to focus on when we are adult children of emotionally immature parents and we're trying to recover our sense of self and our sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. Adult children of emotionally immature parents are already overly empathic toward other people. The internalizer type of the adult child thinks about why other people do the things they do. They think about other people's feelings and motivations. What they really need in their recovery from emotionally immature parenting is they need to put the focus squarely on themselves and think about what happened to them, what their experience was like. And in therapy or any kind of recovery work, we can't simultaneously put the focus on the rough time that the parent had or what the parent may not have gotten in their upbringing. Now, we can, of course, mention that and give some credence to that. But if you try to do that in a equal way to what the child went through, the adult child, will not feel validated, and it will flip them out of their experience and into kind of a confused place where they know what they went through, what they felt, but then somehow they feel like they're being called upon to understand it from their parents' point of view. And I think it works much better if you focus on what happened to you, how it affected you, and validate the truth of that for yourself before you go into trying to understand the nature of your parents' deprivations or what led them into their emotional immaturity. Of course, you can do a little bit of that along the way, but until you feel entitled, a healthy entitlement to what happened to you and what you needed or what you didn't get, you're not able to remedy that through your own growth process. Instead, it can lead to a kind of a stuck situation where you have all these feelings about what happened to you as an adult child, and yet intellectually at the same time, you are thinking about your empathy for what the parent went through. And that takes you away from working through the truth of your own childhood. So, yes, we understand, we have compassion and empathy for what the emotionally immature parent went through. Lots of times we know that they didn't know any better. Lots of times we know that they're regretful, that they wish that they did have a better relationship. But if we focus on that too much, the adult child will not have the opportunity for supported growth that they need. They need someone or some people to absolutely put their needs first, to take seriously everything that they went through and its effect on them, in order for them to own that story and be able to move beyond it through understanding and integrating it into their life story, but in a way that they know how it affected them and what happened. Okay? What often happens in psychotherapy is that as a person works through the effects of emotionally immature parents on their lives, and they return to their own sense of self, their own sense of self-confidence, when they develop empathy and compassion for themselves and what they went through, when they have a narrative that makes sense to them about why they felt the way they did growing up, after they kind of regain themselves, that person may view their emotionally immature parent with much more compassion and with more of a readiness to have the kind of relationship that's possible with them at the level that's possible. So, in order for any of us to have more compassion and to, uh, have a more satisfying adult relationship with a family member, we have to find ourselves first, and then we can have compassion for the other person and what they went through. But only after you know the truth of what happened with you emotionally when you were growing up.